I love movies, but I kind of hate Hollywood, because Hollywood is greedier than Gordon Gekko and Wall Street.
That greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right.
They will do almost anything to make a buck. Sometimes that means dredging up the corpse of a successful movie decades later. They march these zombified reboots and remakes into theaters, hoping audiences will let them devour their brains. It sounds awful and makes for some lifeless films, but you know what? Sometimes it actually works. Sometimes they make a good movie. Sometimes you get a Zathura. At first glance, Zathura just looks like a Jumanji ripoff, and that would actually be right. That is correct. It is a Jumanji ripoff because it's from the same author. Jumanji was based off a book of the same name from Chris Van Allsburg, and Zathura was another one of those. Polar Express was his too, by the way. Guy is super talented and also filthy rich.
Swimming in it! I love to dive around in it like a porpoise.
But this time, instead of being absorbed into a jungle landscape like Jumanji, Zathura is a space adventure game, so it's different. It's in space this time, so very different. The movie starts off with a dad and two brothers trying to survive a normal weekend. The brothers are obviously fighting for their dad's attention while he's trying to get his work done. Oh, the dad life. I can relate. The fighting leads to the brothers ruining their dad's work, forcing him to run back to his office because those little whiny brats ruined everything. Why couldn't they just leave him alone? Why couldn't they just let him work on his YouTube car sketches? With the sister played by a young Kristin Stewart sleeping, the boys have to find a way to entertain themselves for the afternoon without destroying the house. Their constant bickering leads to the older brother Walter, played by Josh Hutchinson, playing a not-so-nice prank on his younger brother Danny, played by Jonah Bobo.
Don't! What's the matter, Danny? Not so scared of the basement, are you?
Which ultimately results in Danny finding Zathura and boom, meteor shower.
It's Meteor! Take corrective action!
I think this is why this movie works so well, is because unlike Jumanji, where it doesn't really have any heart until Robin Williams steps into frame, this one, it hits you in the feels right off the bat, because who can't relate to this, right? Who can't relate to the parents being gone on a, lazy weekend, and you're just trying to survive living with your siblings?
There's one rule of the house, and you broke it!
Everyone's been there. It's boring sometimes. There's nothing on TV. You can't get along. You gotta find a board game that sends you into outer space. It happens. But even deeper than that, you can see the beginning of a true arc for each of the family members. Walter is desperate for his dad's affection and trying to earn it through sports, while Danny is desperate for Walter to see him as an equal and not just his baby brother. The dad, played by Oscar winner Tim Robbins, is doing everything he can to balance work and salvage his relationship to his kids after a divorce. And Lisa, she just needs to start being present with her family. Typical teen stuff. Each character has a trajectory that you can easily follow, making them crucial to the story and to each other. Not something that usually happens in Hollywood cash grab. Another reason why this movie hits so hard is because, like Jumanji, they don't hold back. This is a kids movie, yet you have some shocking moments and scary situations. The meteor shower is a big part of that. When that card is ripped through by a meteor fragment, it's shocking. And the chaos that follows is pretty intense. And that's only to be followed by an incredible reveal that their house is literally floating through space. Dad is gone, Earth is gone, these brothers who constantly argue and fight now only have each other to rely on. Forgive the pun, but their entire world has changed. You get it? The world.
Yes, you're very smart. Shut up.
These quarreling brothers are now forced to play the game Zathura together. And Zathura is a freaking awesome game. The visuals alone are incredible. Storyboard designer Eric Ramsey and graphic illustrator Phil Saunders, who is mostly responsible for the look of Iron Man in the MCU, they knocked it out of the park in this movie. Everything looks incredible. It has like that 60s atomic space race kind of look to everything with primary colors that are super vibrant. As a graphic design nerd, I love the look of this game. I love the look of this movie. It's just so cool. The designs, I mean, look at this freaking robot. Jon Favreau is another huge reason why this movie works so well. Unlike typical Hollywood reboot directors, he actually cares about how this movie looks. And he knew how to get the best use out of special effects while still keeping things grounded. The robot is mostly practical. The zircons are practical. A lot of the damage to the house is also practical. All of this helps to sell the main idea that this house is in space, which is obviously CGI, but because everything else looks so real, this visual doesn't come across as poorly as it could have. Instead, it's a visual that inspires and also scares young audiences. A house floating in space, how cool is that for kids? And also terrifying. It's awesome. As the game continues, it follows a lot of the same patterns as Jumanji. Every turn results in a card, which then leads to some obstacle or reveal. Some of these are more fun than others, but the movie does a good job of keeping it quick. This isn't a 9-hour session of Monopoly. This is a short game, making a short family movie, which I appreciate. Where this movie falls flat compared to Jumanji is with Dax Shepherd's character. The idea is solid. An older Walter who made a bad decision wishing his annoying brother didn't exist gets to return as a spaceman and redeem his past failure, saving his brother. That is a movie. That's a great idea. Redemption, a basic storyline that most people can relate to and root for. That's not the problem. The problem is Dax Shepherd, which I don't like saying because I like Dax Shepherd, but he's not great in this movie. Moving right past the Star Wars level creepiness of Kristin Stewart having a crush on her grown-up little brother, Shepherd just can't replicate the heart that Robbin Williams did in Jumanji. It seems unfair to ask him for that, but the plot needed a stronger performance than he gave. Instead of being remorseful and guilty, Dax just comes across as annoyed and flippant.
Yep. And you're running low on supplies.
Yeah, I know you're eating it all.
Now, Hutchinson, the younger Walter, on the other hand, sells the heck out of it, so it doesn't ruin the movie. It just keeps it from being as emotional as the first Jumanji. Overall, the story is great, the visuals are great, most of the performances are also great, and it has a meaningful message for younger audiences that divorce isn't the end of a family, that those siblings that annoy you to death right now, you're going to want them in your life later. You need to keep those bridges open. And if you don't, a malfunctioning robot might just bust through that wall like the Kool-Aid Man and get you.
Oh yeah!